Hello guys, welcome to the very first podcast on this channel. Now last time I did sort of a pilot episode to this. It was the first 16-bit discussion, but instead of doing 16-bit discussions I wanted to do podcasts. So oftentimes I'll be joined in these, probably by Jordan, maybe one or two might be by Jordan himself. But these are basically just discussions where I discuss a variety of topics, unlike the old 16-bit discussions which I planned on discussing one topic. I'm going to answer a couple of questions I got and then talk about some ideas I have for this channel because we're still relatively new. So right off the bat, I'm just going to talk about a question that I got, and it's the title of the video, on my previous 16-bit discussion. This is from Coaster Countdown Crew. He asked me why I hate the movie Attack of the Clones, and if you've read some of the YouTube comments I've made with my other account, Canada Coaster Fan, you'll know that's my least favorite Star Wars movie of all time. And I think it's because I don't like the prequels in general. Like, I don't like any of those three. Like, I hate all three of those movies. Like, I'm not trying to insult you if you like them. I think it's fine that you like them. There's a lot of good things about them. But that's the thing. I didn't feel two had as many good things. Like, one, it's nostalgic for me. It has so much nostalgia to it. I've watched one so many times in my life. It's one of the ones I've watched the most. Probably 6 was the one I watched the most. But I've seen one a lot in my life. So it brings back nostalgia. I used to love one. It used to be one of my favorite Star Wars movies. That was when I was, like, younger, up until about age 10. And I realized, this movie isn't very good. And then when I saw it in 3D, I was like, nope, I don't like this movie anymore. But the thing is that I think it's one is a decent movie. Like, it's got kind of cool action scenes. Darth Maul is possibly my favorite Star Wars character. No, I like Kylo Ren and Han Solo more, but he's definitely up there. So I really like that movie. And then number 3, a lot of people say is the best movie. I don't think number 3 is much better than number 1, but a lot of people say it's the best movie. I think there's so many problems with 3. But I will be doing, actually, I shouldn't spoil that. Yeah, because that's later on in the video. But, yes, I do think that those ones have redeemable things. With Attack of the Clones, I just felt it had all the same problems with the prequels. Like, a lot of people like the prequels because they added a lot of lore to it. And that's probably why you like it, Coaster Countdown Crew, because you sent in the comment. I just didn't really like them from a filmmaking perspective. Like, I'm actually happy they exist. Like, I don't think they ruined the Star Wars series. It's great that they cause debate. It's great that they make you think where George Lucas wanted to take this. And it's great for comparison's sake. So I'm happy they exist, but I just don't ever want to really watch Attack of the Clones again. Like, I am really always want to pop in The Empire Strikes Back. Like, a lot. I've seen it a lot lately. Like, 4 or 5 times in, like, the last period span of a month. But with Attack of the Clones, it's like the only one that I haven't seen in the period of the month. I don't think I've seen Phantom Menace either. But that one, but I remember Phantom Menace. I remember every Star Wars movie except for number 2. It's so forgettable for me. And I found it kind of boring too. I just remember all that boring romantic discussion. We had to listen to Anakin and Padme with all this boring, romantic, sappy talk. It really irritated me. And that's really why I don't like Attack of the Clones. Also, I will say the CG in Attack of the Clones is some of the worst in the whole series. You can argue with me all you want, but I think a lot of people will agree, even prequel fans, that the CG does not hold up well in the Attack of the Clones. Actually, Phantom Menace is not good either. In that final battle with those droids, I watched that again and I'm like, what? Was that animated in 1990? What? That looked like Pixar's very first animations. But yeah, I just felt it had all the problems that the prequels had, but it didn't have much redeemable, at least for me. Like, some people say it's the best one. Some people like the prequels. I can understand why you like them. There's a lot of things oh god, I failed there in this video, Mario Kart. But there's a lot of things going for the prequels, in my opinion. I just think they're bad movies. They kind of fall in the same category as me as the Transformers movies. Like, if you like a lot of action, they're good. I mean, I guess they're an interesting take on the original material, but it's just, I didn't think the story was really that great. There wasn't much good character development in those. I didn't like the way they were shot. I didn't like the effects. I don't know, one of the main problems with the prequels is whether you like them or not. You have to acknowledge they're different. And I like this formula that the first 3 Star Wars films set up. That's a beautiful trilogy. Like, thinking about, I don't know if number 6 is the best movie, but the original trilogy is just set up so well. You have the fun space adventure to start off things, introduce the characters, introduce the world, have a fun movie, and then for the second one you have a dark, gritty movie that ends on a cliffhanger, and in the third one you combine the fun of the first one and then also the dark and grittiness of the second one, which is of course the fourth one is the first one and the second one's the fifth one. But I just thought that was a great trilogy. But with the new trilogy, it's set up a little differently. I don't think I like the structure of the trilogy as much. It's kind of weird. I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. Now, I'm not one of those people who say, if you like the prequels, you like crap. I don't entirely think they're crappy movies. Yes, they are in my opinion, but they're so debatable. Like, those people who think that they're bad movies often should admit that there's so many worse movies out there. Yes, they're some of the most disappointing of all time, but there are so many worse movies. There's so many worse movies that kind of wreck the original movies. Like, for example, Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, whatever, what was it called? Something to do with the Crystal Skull. I hated that movie. I hated that movie so much, and I don't think anybody really liked that movie. With the fridge and the nuclear bomb, that was awful. And then and then the aliens, I thought that was super, super stupid. But I think difference is hard for people to take, and that is one of the major reasons the prequels are hated. But yes, like I said before, a lot of people who don't like the prequels must understand that they're not the worst movies ever. And a lot of people who like the prequels probably understand that they're not the best movie ever. Whether you enjoy them a lot, you have to realize how many flaws they have from a storytelling and filmmaking standpoint, or even from the viewpoint of somebody who loved the original trilogy. It kind of does squander on it. Like, I know it adds to the extra source material. A lot of people love that extra material. Hell, I just bought the Darth Maul book. I don't know what it's called, sitting on my dresser. But I'm going to read that after I finish the book I'm reading right now, and it looks pretty cool. And it is kind of based off number 1, but it just kind of squandered the original source material. They kind of ruined Yoda. They kind of ruined the Force with the midichlorians. They kind of ruined Darth Vader with his poor turn from Anakin to Darth Vader and the no scene. You know, they have their problems, the prequels, but they're not the worst movies of all time. Like, they're not awful. I just hate Attack of the Clones. I don't hate Revenge of the Sith. I don't hate The Phantom Menace. I've seen those movies a lot. They both are nostalgic for me. But in my opinion, Attack of the Clones is just the weakest movie of the 3 that I don't like. And it's not that it has the most problems. That's number 1, or even the worst problems. I'm pretty sure that's number 3. But it's just kind of boring and forgettable. And those are 2 things that I don't want a Star Wars movie to be. Like, The Phantom Menace, it was fun. Like, I don't care. I thought there was a lot of fun in that movie. Yes, it was annoying and bad, in many people's opinions, including mine. But it was fun for me, and I still kind of enjoy that movie. Anyways, I still appreciate, like, I respect your opinion. If you love those movies, that's fine. There's a lot of things that I like that a lot of people don't like. For example, that movie Oblivion with Tom Cruise in it. A lot of people hate that movie. I thought that was a great movie. Man of Steel, I haven't seen much of it. It seems pretty cool. Like, there's a lot of things that people are divided on, and the Star Wars prequels are one of those things. There's a lot of good going for them, but there's a lot of bad, while in the original trilogy it was almost all good. So in the comments below, give me your thoughts on this topic. And so the next thing I want to bring up is this was from Rollercoaster Fan 2000. He asked me my opinions on Screen Junkies and Cinemasins. Okay, so these are 2 movie-based YouTubers that are pretty well known, actually, in just the YouTube community and in general. So let me start with Cinemasins. Now, yes, I have been a huge follower of Cinemasins. I am so addicted to their videos. Not as much as I used to be, but Cinemasins was so good. Like, originally, there was this, the Hobbit video, Everything Wrong with the Hobbit. I discovered it during my Hobbit mania phase. Like, there's one point in my life, around the time the Hobbit came out, I read that summer all the Lord of the Rings books, watched all the Lord of the Rings movies, bought all the Lord of the Rings movies on Blu-ray extended edition, watched all the extended editions through twice, read the books through again, bought all the books that went with the movie. Like, they had like books for all ages released before the movie. I got some kids books, I got some adults books. I just wanted to dig through as much information as I could to find out what was going to happen in that movie. And obviously I came out disappointed. It's not a movie I really remember. It's not a movie I like. It's not a movie I dislike. I just was expecting The Lord of the Rings. But I was kind of mad because I didn't dislike the movie or like it. It was just kind of meh for me. And I was pretty mad that it wasn't like the greatest movie ever like we all expected, or at least I did. Like, I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings. I read the Hobbit book. Actually, that's what got me into it. My teacher, we did a novel study on the Hobbit, and I just remember how much fun I had reading that book. So I was super excited. And when I heard they split it into a trilogy, I was like, oh, this isn't going to be good. But I still had my hopes up. But then I saw the movie and I was mad. I started looking up videos like why The Hobbit sucks. And I found the CinemaSins video. And I clicked on it and I was like, oh, yeah, these are so true. I was laughing my head off. I had to show my grandma. I had to show my dad. I had to show my mom. It was so funny. And I started going through. There's a lot of movies that I liked in there too. Like, I watched the Amazing Spider-Man one. I love that movie. I don't care what people say. I hate number 2. But that movie is one movie that I remember watching before I was super critical about movies. And I loved it. I had a blast at that movie. And in The Hunger Games, I really liked it at the time. Don't like it as much. I still love Catching Fire. But, yeah, that was just so much fun. And I think CinemaSins is a great YouTube channel because they do something so well that not a lot of YouTube reviewers or even Let's Players are able to do. And this is something I find important. It's something that I want to do with my channel. And it's something that, with this channel, and it's just something I think a lot of YouTube reviewers should strive for. So if you're trying to become a YouTube reviewer, I think you got to remember these important things. You want to be informative as much as you want to be entertaining and funny. You never want to ever be one more than the other, and that's my thoughts. Like CinemaSins, they have those goofy sins that they pop up like, what is it, this scene contains no lap dance. Like, that's funny. Like, that was really clever. It's a running gag with them, and they have some videos like Everything Wrong with CinemaSins and Everything Wrong with the Justin Bieber Never Say Never movie. Those are funny. But when you watch certain of their videos, some of their videos, you will click on them and you'll sit down and watch them. And while you might be laughing, some sins you'll look at, you'll have to rewind and you're like, huh? That really happened? How could I have not have noticed it? Oh, that's a big problem. That kind of kills the movie, doesn't it? Oh, like stuff like that. Like, one thing I would bring up is, like, I do not like the movie Avengers Age of Ultron. I think it's a good movie, but I really didn't like it. I came out not liking that movie. I was pretty disappointed. I know it's a pretty good movie. Like, there's a difference, in my opinion, between liking a movie and thinking it's a good movie. I thought it was a good movie. There's a lot of good things in it, but I don't know. But I still thought there were some problems that really kind of killed my enjoyment. And I clicked on the CinemaSins video, and they pointed out some of the problems that I had. And that was really interesting, because I thought, I shouldn't be the only one who doesn't like these scenes. But yeah, so they were funny and informative, and I think that's something a lot of YouTube reviews should strive for. Like the Nostalgia Critic, for example. I'll use him as an example. He is an inspiration for a lot of people. One of the best movie reviewers of all time. What he would often do is he would review movies from, you know, nostalgic times, the 90s, the 80s, and he'd review them, often the bad ones, and say why they don't hold up and, like, make fun of them and stuff like that. And then, of course, he retired for a bit. He came back, and then he started, and nowadays he kind of reviews newer movies and older movies, and often has skits mixed in, and that's the problem. I feel like Nostalgia Critics, old videos used to be informative. They taught a lot of people how to become aspiring movie critics. Like, aspiring movie critics learned from his videos. Like, I watched a ton of his videos, and I thought they were great. They kind of taught me about, you know, some of the basics to film structure, some of the basics to cinematography. Kind of taught me a lot. And then also there's so many funny moments. Like, some of his old reviews, man, were hilarious. And some of the ones, when he came back, I think he was actually in his prime around the time he came back, when he made The Last Airbender, Son of a Mask, stuff like that. And then the time before he quit was like Scooby-Doo. That was also when he was in his prime. But now See, because of copyright issues and because he wants to be on YouTube, because he did a lot of it through his website, he is now doing videos where on, like, current movies, he'll review them, and he will talk about them, but he'll have people act out skits that are supposed to represent scenes in the movie. And if you haven't seen the movie, it's really confusing. You wonder, how much is this really like? Like, he did the Force Awakens one. That was actually not a bad review. But they're not as well balanced anymore. And I think CinemaSins really represents that well balance. He's gone too much on the funny side, and he's not as informative anymore. And CinemaSins still keeps that. Although I kind of wish their videos weren't as long as they are. Like, they used to try to do as many sins in a certain time period, but now they're kind of like, I don't know, some of their videos are like 20 minutes. Like, the first really long one, I believe, was The Desolation of Smog, and that was funny. And I actually liked that movie more than the first Hobbit movie. But yeah, and then Screen Junkies. Yes, I have to talk about Screen Junkies. I don't watch their videos that much, but they are one of the best movie review channels on YouTube. Like, I have to appreciate how good they are. Those honest trailers are so good, especially the Frozen one, because it's true. I got into Frozen, and now I don't like Frozen, but I discovered Frozen because of Let It Go, and the first time I saw Frozen, I liked Frozen because of Let It Go. That was really the only reason. But, when they said this is the feature-length music video for Let It Go, I was like, that's the truth. That is totally the truth. That is exactly what this movie is. And they're so clever with those. And then they have the movie fights, which is such a good idea, having that podcast, having those debates. Oh, it's so good. Their channel is great. I have not watched many of their videos because, to be honest, I hadn't really heard of them before you asked that question. Like, I'd seen the honest trailers, but I didn't know that was Screen Junkies who did them. So, quite an awesome channel. I'm going to definitely have to watch some of those movie fights, because some of the ideas for those are so good. Alright, so now we're on the topic of movies, so let's continue with that. So, you guys recently saw my Force Awakens review, and that was a pretty popular video. And I'm planning on remastering that or doing a second part to that in the next month. And I'll explain why that is in a second. But that was such a good video. It was so much fun to make. It took a lot of work, actually, writing that script, coming up with all the ideas, interviewing people who saw the movie for their quotes and opinions on the movie. What I'm trying to get at is I am planning on reviewing every Star Wars movie, and I'm currently almost done Return of the Jedi. So yeah, like I said before, I will be reviewing every Star Wars movie, because I love the Star Wars trilogy, using a similar format to the other video, but not quite the same. I'm going to try to mix it up a little bit. And I also, this weekend, Jordan and I will be recording a review of every Dark Knight movie, because we loved each of those movies. I finally saw all three of them over the last while. I'd always seen Batman Begins, half of it, and I saw a little bit of The Dark Knight Rises, and the end of The Dark Knight, but I'd never seen them all, and I was really impressed. A lot of things I have to say. A lot of good things, a lot of things. I gotta give my opinions on those. And then with that, I also want to do the Lord of the Rings trilogy, because those are like the three kind of action movie trilogies. I know you can say that the Lord of the Rings is a fan. Oh my gosh, I'm failing on this video, on this old recording of Mario Kart. But you can say Lord of the Rings is an action movie or a fantasy movie or Star Wars science fiction, all you want. I'm not really a genre fan. When I say action movie, I really think of any movie with action as a focus and a plot point. Like, I wouldn't really consider, I don't know, Airplane as an action movie, or, I don't know, The Love Guru or something like that. I wouldn't consider, like, a comedy movie an action movie, but like something like any kind of action movie, like a traditional action movie, a comic book movie, a fantasy movie, sci-fi. I usually consider them as action movies. But those are kind of the three really popular trilogies. All of the movies in those trilogies are super good. You know, I really, really want to review each one of them, and I think you will enjoy the reviews, because I've got a lot planned for them. I'm going to review, so all the Lord of the Rings movies. Hobbit, maybe. All the Star Wars movies for sure. And in all the Dark Knight movies, and I may do the Godfather movies, because that's a pretty well-known trilogy. Obviously, the third one isn't well-liked, but the first two are. But they're long movies. I haven't seen them all. I've seen parts of each one, but I haven't seen them all, so I'm going to have to watch them all. If you guys want that, please let me know below. That'll be a lot of work, but, you know, I'll think about that. Alright, so the final thing I want to touch on is, you probably noticed my voice sounds a little different. Now, obviously, I've been kind of stuttering and speaking the same mannerisms I usually do, because this is an unscripted video, like some of my videos. But my voice doesn't sound as echoey and stuffy and just awful like it did on the old videos. And the reason is, today, I went to Staples. I had a plan, and I went in and bought this blue Snowball Ice microphone. So cool looking, so fun to touch. And I wanted to get this because on Reddit, somebody said the audio quality was awful in our videos, and I'm like, okay, how can I improve that? And then I looked at some of my favorite YouTubers, saw what they used, and I'm like, Blue Snowball, such a good idea. That's what I'm gonna get. So, for these next podcasts and reviews, I will be using this Blue Snowball microphone. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. The next time we'll be doing getting some reviews out. Hopefully get a couple out over the next few days. And then the next podcast will be planned to be uploaded probably this weekend. And we'll probably be doing Facecam podcasts from now on. Anyways guys, hope to see you next time. And hope you subscribe if it's your first time watching any of our videos. And hope you enjoyed this video. Give a like. And comment your suggestions for podcast ideas you have. Any ideas for topics. I've already got a couple topics prepared for the next video. But the next one will probably be a longer one. So I'd like a few more topics that we could discuss. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. And we really hope to see you next time. It's been great, guys. Bye.